there, thanks for stopping by my channel. I'm GhostPrime, and we're going to do a versus video between the Titan Tidal Wave and the original. Well, the Energon version of the original. The superior paint one, in my opinion. But I want to know, does this guy stack up to the original? Is it as fun? Besides being big, what else does this one have going for it? That's what I want to try to go over in this video. Now, admittedly, I'm not the biggest Armada fan. I do really like Tidal Wave, and I didn't really check out Armada or give Armada a chance until the PS2 game. You guys remember that? That game was awesome.
Sir, it's Tidal Wave. Recommend you take immediate cover. You have got to destroy him. Density.
Now, this is on loan to me from my buddy Nick, which I really appreciate, because I don't have any more room. I don't know if you can see up there. I don't have any more room for any more Titans. So I had to skip this one. So let's just get into it. Without any further ado, let's get to the review. All right, and here he is. I don't know how he came packaged. I didn't get the instructions or the box from my buddy, so I'm kind of winging it here. But this is how he looks out of the package. And yeah, he's big. He's a Titan, and he should be huge, which he is. He's not as big as some of the other Titans, however, but he is pretty cool. Detail-wise, really nice looking face sculpt on it. Looks very good. We can like move on down to the nipple rockets, and he has the other ones down there, and the hip rockets. Like detail all down the thighs, and back on the hand and the arm. All that. Pretty nice paint work on it too. He has a bunch of different colors, which I dig. I really think that's good. And it should have a lot of different colors on it. But overall, I think he looks really decent. I don't know how I'm going to do a comparison on this. So let's see if I can show you the size on this guy. There he is next to the Titan class Scorponok. So you can see he is a full head shorter than Scorponok. There he is with Titan class Devastator. So you can see how he's actually taller than Devastator, which is a good size, I think, for him. He's pretty decent as far as in between those two. And here he is compared to the original. Yeah, I know. It's not the original. Just pretend it's the right color. It's exactly the same. But that's how he compares there. Just for another little reference, there's Generation 1 Optimus Prime. So yeah, he fits the name of Titan pretty well. He is a big figure, and that sculpt looks amazing. I absolutely love these giant cannons that could just blast away at the enemies. Really cool, besides the little piddly ones here. I think they did some really cool updates, and if you look at a lot of the detail on it, this really mirrors this. I think they did an excellent job as far as sculpt work on this. He has a presence. He looks beautiful in robot mode. Absolutely gorgeous. Really makes me regret not getting one of these for myself, because Tidal Wave is actually a really awesome character, a really cool figure overall. And so now it's time to discuss articulation, which is, something that this thing excels at and this thing doesn't. The articulation on this, there really just isn't much at all articulation. I mean, you got arm movement. This way. He's got elbows. He's got a thumb movement, which actually is kind of cool. No way. Oh, well, he does have a waist for transformation. No head movement. His legs could go forward, backward, as you can see inside there. No knees. Unless you call that a knee. No ankle tilts at all. Nothing. His legs are pretty stacked. So you can't really get him in a good pose. He just kind of stands there. That is a downfall of this one. As for this one, has a ton of articulation. He has the finger articulation there, thumb articulation, which also rotates, thumb rotates. This goes there. He has, bicep swivel, ratcheting, super strong elbows. A little bit of a rotation there. He can do 360 on the arms. His head is really cool because he can actually look up. He can't look down, but this is an improvement over a lot of the Titans. His head can do 360. So the one thing that is kind of weird, I think it looks okay, is so he doesn't have a waist swivel at all, but he has this flap. It doesn't go that far. So this flap, it makes him limits the range of his knee to about, or his thigh to about that, his hip. But he has really nice clicky joints, and they hold really well. His feet can do the A stance, thigh swivel. Well, he does have the, like I said, the crotch flap. But he can do like pretty good posing. And I don't mind the crotch flap because it makes it almost look like he has a ab crunch if you do it like that. That's not terrible. He stands up super solid. So that's a really big strength of this one. He is incredibly solid feeling. Very, very solid. We just listen to that. Very cool. Well, this one is clicky also. It can't do this. The lack of knees on this one is something that always bothered me. It was generally with Armada figures. I know this is Energon, but it was Armada. In general, don't have a lot of articulation. So this having this much articulation is a really, really nice thing. Plus, I mean, even this pose, look at that. That looks amazing. However, transformation, this guy really can't convert into the full mode without converting into the smaller ships first. You have to take him apart. He's essentially a part former. The only way you could transform him into anything resembling anything would be the base mode, which here's a picture of. As you can see, there's nothing really to it. He just kind of lays down and sticks some parts up. It's an afterthought in my opinion. It's okay, but it's an afterthought. You know, this is really where it's at. You can't take these off. Conveniently for the, I guess, the base mode. And it just seems that the base mode was like, hey, we need to have this thing convert into something without taking it apart. This one you could transform into the full-on mode, the alt mode, without taking this thing apart at all. So let's get this into the Dark Fleet. All right, and here we have the fleet. And it looks fantastic. It actually is huge. The aircraft carrier here is the Decepticon logo. You have the paintwork of the runway here. This, again, I would love to have seen it actually pop up with the Minicon up there. Would be really cool. I do like the inclusion of this little flap here, which they didn't need to add. Just a nice little bit of design like a real aircraft carriers have. You got the fingers up at the front, the blasters right there. Chunky. It does have wheels. You can see the wheels, and it rolls fairly well, actually. My favorite piece is the central piece, and this is really cool. Dig all these. I mean, of course, same thing as the torso. I do wish that the head sort of collapsed in. It's just kind of sitting there, but you can't see the face, so I think it's okay. I don't have the other part in here. This is the part that goes on Megatron, because it does have a tendency to slip out when you're like rolling it around, which is something that at least on this one, I would not want to have happen. But it rolls not as well as this. And this really can't do anything, right? These can move by hand, up and down. I like how those go up and down, and they look really menacing. Kind of reminds me of one of the airships from Mario, actually, with the big cannons. But I digress. This is the other piece, and it's the largest piece, I guess. But there is an issue with it. Comes apart pretty easily. So that's, you know, I wish it stayed better. And it actually snaps in pretty hard, but like it doesn't stay together super well. And another thing, so these do open like the original, but it's not really much inside. That's the foot for Megatron. That's the inner of the leg. It doesn't do the seat thing. But I guess the draw is that it's pretty big. Again, wheels. This one rolls actually really well. So I guess the draw is that it's large. And here's the Energon version with the Titan class for a size comparison. So it is, again, quite a bit bigger. I mean, you can see the aircraft carrier portion could sit on it, you know. But like I was saying about the seats, this is one thing that I think is sorely missed from the Titan, which is these little seats for minicons. Not that we'd use them, but it's really cool to have a troop transport It's just kind of a neat little thing that didn't really need to be there, but I think it's just an excellent idea. I think that's just really, really awesome. And I would have loved to have seen that on this, even if it's for Titan Masters. I think that would have been really, really cool to see, because you don't really get much functionality of it otherwise. The aircraft carrier here does have this, has the Minicon, which comes up out of there, out of the little elevator. And this thing is also sorely missed from the Titan version. You know, so that is something that we would really like to see. They did paint it on there, but I guess they couldn't get it in there with the engineering, or I don't know, maybe it just wasn't in the budget because they had to do the pieces to connect to Megatron. And then, of course, you have this piece here. We all know what this does with the gimmick. It moves the turrets back and forth. Which, again, gimmicks. Gimmicks are cool. And it's something that's very much lacking on modern figures. It's just those really cool little gimmicks. So let's get them all together in the big mode. And here he is, all connected together. And it's massive. It is absolutely massive.
That's what she said.
It's very cool to see this thing all together like this. It does roll. It's fairly solid. Pick it up by the middle. So it's fairly solid. I think these will fall off before anything else. These are held on pretty tightly. So I want to go shaking this around, have both the back legs fall off. But yeah, I mean, this thing is really impressive, actually, in this mode. Really, really impressive. Especially considering bringing in the original. You can see the original one was a big bot, and this is just, I mean, that's crazy talk. Look at that. That is massive, massive. And here's Red Sunstreaker there on the runway, just to show you a comparison. This is huge. So it's hard for me to get out the Ark to show you the size. This is longer than the Ark, and it's chunky and super, super heavy. This is definitely, I feel like kind of this is what you get it for, is this in the robot mode. The Dark Fleet's okay, but this is impressive. It definitely looks like a battleship. But he does combine with Megatron. So let's get to that. All right, firstly, as some of you may or may not know, you can't just put this guy onto Megatron, because Megatron would be absolutely massive. So it has smaller pieces. And these smaller pieces do make the Dark Fleet. Now, this piece here and on the other side both come off. On the underside, you have a small main body piece, if I could actually get that out. The last part is up here, right here. This is the last piece. So you just kind of got to separate this, and then you can take this up, and it just slots in. Just pull that right out. Each one. It's in there kind of tight, unless you want to actually move the damn thing, and it falls out. There we go. So we're left with these pieces. And you gotta put this up like that. Up here, like so. And this bottom piece, turn it around. And then these could actually go together, back together. And it does make the little aircraft carrier. Kind of neat, kind of cute. You got these two pieces here, which when you stick these together, does make this part here. And of course this piece here, you bring the front of the boat up and then just stick them in the slots right there. And there you have a miniature Dark Fleet. It's cool enough. I mean, but with one thing you can't do is you can't actually make a small tidal wave off of this, which would have been super cool if you could. It's understandable why you can't, but it would have been super cool if you could. And here he is all combined. And yeah, I mean, it looks the part. It looks really cool. I do think these are supposed to be up here. These are hard for him to hold here. And if you put them actually up here on this tab here, or this peg hole, it actually kind of works a little better. You can move his arm. So I think that's where it's supposed to go. But on the original, they were on his arms. So I like having them on the arms. I like the look better anyway. But you can see why he has to have these little booty parts, because this will just touch the ground. I do like the fact that the wings are pretty big here. But let's go ahead and bring in the original. And here the two are together. And I think this does a pretty damn good job of being this. I really do. I think like it looks really, really good together. It's a little less bulky. But overall, I think it's a nice way to update it. I think that it's interesting here that they have the sculpt work that looks like the legs here. That's kind of weird. And the feet actually open too is also odd. These actually move. They rotate. Which of course these ones do too if you have the Minicon attached to it. This one has all the regular gimmicks, the firing, missiles, and the sounds. This one has none of that, of course. But overall, I do think that this one does a pretty good job at becoming this one. If this is what you're into, I think it's a good update. It does leave a little bit desired because these pieces are the fingers, the actual part of the fingers, leaving the big tidal wave robot with just a thumb, which I think looks weird if you're going to display it that way. Personally, I want to do that. I'd keep it together and keep this separate, or by two, which I would not ever do because it's very expensive. But anyway, on to some final thoughts. So admittedly, this is pretty cool. He's a good Titan figure, and he should be a Titan. He's about the size it should be. Unfortunately, it does lack a lot of the playability of the original, which is a shame. I wish they could have put the elevator here. Maybe he should have came with a Minicon. These types of things. The pieces in here, the seats, those little things really made the original a standout figure. And he can't even transform into the giant mode without taking him apart. The base mode is just a throwaway base mode. It's just they're like, oh, hey, look, it's a base mode because you got to have it transform into something. I feel that was thrown in. That's my opinion on it. I don't like that. I don't like that base mode one bit. But it is cool. I mean, it has a definite presence. Its joints are really, really good. Super tight, super clicky. It stands up and it poses super well. And it's something that's really, really cool. And you can look up. Can't look down, but hey, you know, baby steps. I just wish it had some gimmicks and features with it to make it a little bit more rounded as a toy, in my opinion, because the other one is super fun. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this review. Let me know what you think of this one. Did you pick one of these up, or do you prefer to stay at the original, or why not both? Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you in the next review.